Would you like a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes, if we can get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for July 10th of 2025. I did not see the minutes on the portal.
Likewise.
Yeah. Is there, maybe we can go back to that if that's possible?
Makes sense.
Okay. All right. So next item on the agenda is review of the monthly treasurer's report. Karina, I believe this is the report as of June. Is that correct?
That is correct. So I'm open to any questions, any discussions regarding the report. And we've also started including the AP distribution report to council. So you guys are now going to receive that as well. So if you have any questions regarding that.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions on the monthly treasurer report?
I mean, the year's not closed out, is it? It's just.
It's not. There will be another report after the audit's done, and there will be a report for the fiscal year end.
Okay.
Still working on wrapping up, closing up the year as a total.
Okay.
Yep.
So just looking at the expenditures, we have 15% remaining in the budget. And we extended our revenues by 1% of the budget.
Mm-hmm.
So that looks pretty healthy. What were the main savings in expenditures? It looks to me like
It's probably capital.
capital.
Yeah, that's normally what it is. There is another report, budget, by department. There were savings in planning and zoning. That's because of staffing, issues, not having fully staffed. Fleet maintenance, another thing, there was, savings in, salaries and benefits because they were not fully staffed. And then there's savings in parks, which I would assume was capital.
Yeah, and there's contracted services savings of 20%. Is that percent of expenditures, I believe?
The percentage of expenditures.
Percent
So
of expenditures, yeah.
expenses, 20% is for contract services. And of course, like most places, salaries and benefits make up the most.
Okay. All right. Wow. So the supplies and materials were way overspent, I guess. I'm looking at the year-to-date expense by category.
Well, that just shows how much, what percentage of supplies and material made up of the total expenditures, not necessarily
Oh,
the amount of budget.
okay, because it says budget remaining. Okay.
Well, there's budget remaining on by departments. It doesn't specify what type of expense category it is in.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the water fund revenue and expense.
Okay. Wait,
Sorry.
I was still looking at the general fund.
Okay, sorry. And does anybody have any questions on the general fund? No? Okay. The water fund?
Okay, yeah, there's, and this is, when it's supplies and materials, most likely that's because of, repairs to, for water leaks and stuff like that. So that's probably, but I can look at that very more specifically, but that's probably what it is higher than usual, maintenance and repairs. I know they had quite a few water main breaks during the winter.
Mhm.
So you transferred money into that line item to
Mhm.
cover it? Oh, you're just allowing the budget to roll on the bottom number?
So the budget's based on, for the enterprise is based on the fund. For the
Mhm.
general fund, we look department level for the budget. There will be budget adjustments that will come up, which I will also send to you guys when I complete. I'm waiting for a few more journal entries to be done for year end before I make those entries or the request to council to approve the amendments. There was a whole listing in April's. Some of them were because of the recruitment for the town manager and the director of planning. We didn't budget for those, so there's going to be budget amendments for that. I'm trying to think what else. There was an increase in IT service expense for cybersecurity, but last I look at the budget, doesn't look like we're going to have to amend that for that. There is the Heritage Green where we used the escrow to cover the debt service. That wasn't budgeted and it should have been budgeted. There was a purchase for a truck in inspections. That was 11,000 more than we originally budgeted for. What else is there? Actually, let me look at what was.
Looking at just the water fund alone, they had a fiscal budget of 2,000,008 and they expended 1,000,008.
Yeah, we're not going to do budget adjustment.
No, but they don't have to stay within categories under the categories inside there. They have a lot more flexibility.
Technically, no. We are, just like we've changed the budget where we've started making departments really evaluate. That's going to be one of those things for a budget that we're going to start monitoring.
Okay.
That they are supposed to manage their contracted service category, their supplies and material category, their other category. That's one of those things that we try to instill in them with this new budget, that it's not just going to be department level. We're now looking at more
Okay,
things.
so in the next fiscal year, this should look good.
It should. I mean, there might
The money
be,
should be moved
yeah.
around.
there might be some things where, say that they originally planned to do some work in-house and just didn't have the manpower or the expertise to do it. And so they contracted out. We would have budgeted for materials. So then it now is going to contract.
And you can do a budget mod on the budget level
Yeah.
to make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing we're tracking, that we didn't do previously is when they budget for projects, sometimes they may budget for a project and say it's going to be 1 million. And maybe they had other projects within that capital budget that they were budgeting for, but they never used it. And because they're not over budget, it wasn't being monitored. Now I'm looking at the projects and saying, yeah, we've got to monitor these projects.
So you're
And it-
starting to encumber money basically up in with the departments.
So we're going to start monitoring those projects. You projected this much to be how much the project was going to cost. We need an explanation and understanding why, what's happening. That it's over. If it goes under, great, but we're going to start looking and evaluating that too.
Yeah, a concern here is that if we look at the chart, water fund revenue and expense overview, the prior year actuals, it looks like it's on a downward trend. And we still have 32% remaining on the budget. So are we expecting more revenues to come in as a revenue adjustments or?
No, that is probably because of the ARPA funds. we had ARPA funds that were earmarked for projects in water that were used last year. We have the water modeling project is the only one we were using those funds for FY25. In FY26, we still have the water model, but we also have the interconnection for the water between the town and the county at Tillman Lake. So that's in the FY26 budget, and that would be for using that project reserve that were the ARPA funds.
Okay. And anybody else have any questions on the water fund? If not, let's just go to the sewer revenue and expense overview. It's page 9 of the report. Are there any questions? Hearing none, then let's go to the next, the sanitation fund revenue and expense overview on page 10. Hearing no concerns, let's move to page 11, stormwater fund revenue and expense overview.
I presume the difference is between the budget and the expenses due to the projects we just haven't been able to get done, or, yeah.
Yeah, actually, we're putting out an RFQ to try to get qualified contractors to get some of those outstanding things that have been budgeted over and haven't been done. So
Okay.
we are in the process of catching up with that
Right.
right now.
I know it's on the
Yes.
radar for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but actually the majority of that variance under the capital is for the MS4 projects that we are just being up the design for 2 of them. Construction will be done in this fiscal year, and the designs for the 2 others will be done, completed in this fiscal year. So that was part of the ARPA funds, that capital outlay.
Okay. Then Karina, do you have any closing remarks from your report?
No, I mean, there are a few other things that we are wrapping up, but for the most part, I don't anticipate much changes from the information's here. But there are some year-end closing entries that we're still working on.
Okay. Does anyone have any general concerns regarding the monthly treasurer's report? Okay, hearing none, then can we move to the next agenda item, matters of discussion, establishing reserves and the TLP versus other municipality analysis discussion.
So I put this here because I know this is something that we're talking about before, and kind of just bringing it up and see where the thoughts of the finance committee was at, and what next steps we need to go to start putting together a recommendation for the reserves. And the other one, TOLP means Town of La Plata. That's my abbreviation. Of comparing other municipalities to the town in the relates to population, compared to budget, compared to budget allocation based on services, that type of thing.
Mhm.
So the town manager last meeting had requested that the finance committee do some analysis on that. I did send out an email with what I had. I did not have a lot at the time, but kind of like the tax rates based on the municipalities. There was also a worksheet that the police did with their comparison. So try to give you guys some data to work with.
Yes. Did everyone receive that email? It was sent out on July 15th.
Yep.
And does anyone have any questions regarding that? I like that you highlighted the similar counties.
Oh, I was doing that based on population.
Based on population, yeah.
Hey, Randy and Karina, I'm wondering if we shouldn't schedule like an interim meeting in maybe 2 weeks or something before we meet again next month to kind of go through if we each take actions away to analyze certain aspects and then come back together to kind of look at those prior to going in the next meeting. And then maybe we'll be in a place where we can share some results with Karina and the town manager.
I'm fine with that. The only thing is I am out from the 30th of August and I won't be back until the 22nd of September.
Okay.
So have you somebody delegated to take the meeting?
It will probably be the town manager.
Well, then maybe we just meet before, but I do think if we can each take a piece of what we're going to analyze, that would be helpful.
I'm kind of interested in having you recap what your objective is for us in this, because I think we can get away from it.
Mhm. So the idea is to look at how, based on the town size, based on the town services, how do we compare with other municipalities that are in the same, I guess, vicinity, DC, well, not DC, Maryland and Virginia? What services are they providing? What type of tax rate is being used to support those services? What percentage of the revenue is being allocated to the different services, police protection, road maintenance? How do we compare to that? There is anticipated changes and benefits that are going to change the allocations we currently have. And before we make some of those decisions, we would the town should look at where do we fall compared to other municipalities.
We also were talking about restricted stage. Is that part of?
Well, yeah, that's the
That's the
reserves.
piece,
Yeah.
The reserve. So we're looking at that as well. What kind of
Yeah,
reserve
those
is
are
there?
two different things.
Yeah, but if we're talking to other towns,
Yeah,
what their percentage of their revenue is and
Yeah. Because-
fund.
yeah, right now we have a vehicle reserve, but it doesn't have any specification. There's no legislation or ordinance identifying how we can use it, how we fund it. There's none of that. The only one that there is any legislation for is the storm reserve and the building reserve.
And that was really old, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it wasn't put together.
Yeah, it was a dollar amount versus a
Yeah.
percent.
Correct. And it also looked at based on depreciation amount. Well, buildings appreciate and the cost to build them is going up. So using how that was written is not going to help us if we have to replace a building and we only have a couple $1 million in there to replace the building and it's going to cost 3 or 4 times. because we are looking at a facility study, which is in the budget for FY26, to look at the police department, to look at the public works facility, to look at the property that we have out here and how we could utilize it. So that is in there, but we also need to understand of, well, how much money do we have in this reserve once we, to, I guess, maintain the properties as well, or build upon the properties as the town grows. So there's a lot of parts in here that we need to understand and make sure that we have the appropriate amount of reserves going in there. And how are we going to fund the reserves? And what qualifies to use the reserves? There's none of that is addressed in the ordinance.
So Karina, it sounds like to me, if I kind of think about this in 3 buckets, right? It's analyzing the reserves from other municipalities. I would think percentage of spent on services and how those are funded is another category. And then sort of the other thing I hear you saying is what was their path to growth or decline depending on the particular municipality? Because when you talk about tax incentives and things like that, since this is coming from the town manager, I would think that that would be something he's interested in. What was their path? What did they invest in? How did the county help them? Things of that nature.
It could be anything. I mean, right now we don't really, unfortunately, the town didn't really, I guess, do a lot of analysis, and that's what we're trying to do, compare us to others municipalities. We don't even know how we fit into what percentages our service for police service compared to another municipality like us. We haven't done those type of analysis.
So I'm thinking among us, maybe if somebody can take sort of analyzing the reserves, and maybe percentage spent on services, because I think the path to growth or decline is probably something separate from that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if it's possible, Karina, I don't know if, I guess we have to maybe get some contact numbers from maybe the counties that we've highlighted in green that are similar in population. This way we can talk to them and see how their financials are made up, and what that may be able to answer the third bucket that we're looking at. Give us a historical perspective of what the investments occurred in that county
Okay.
or municipality.
Yeah, I think when I sent you all that, I think I also sent you guys the budgets for those municipalities, because I pulled the budgets because I was looking at the budgets and comparing their budgeted services to ours, but I ended up having to do other things. I never completed that. I'm not sure if I sent you that spreadsheet. I thought the spreadsheet had that information started, but I hadn't completed it.
I think
Yes,
you did. Karina.
Yes, you have the Brunswick, Easton, Elkton, Havre de Grace, Mount Airy, and New Carrollton.
Okay. Yeah, I was
So
compared
these budgets, it looks like it was 24, FY24, FY25. The only recent one looks like is Elkton, FY25. I'm sorry, Easton, FY26.
Yeah.
So
And it was probably because that was the budget that they had, the latest budget they had posted online. Because I pulled
I
these
see.
sites.
So one thing I think we need to be a little bit careful of is not just using population as the only criteria for comparison, because if we're trying to understand path to growth, right, it's
Yes.
going to be, if they're successful, right, they're going to already have grown. So you're going to, there's going to have to be some sort of look back, right? So, I mean, what other criteria do we want to consider when we're thinking about municipalities that may be the most similar?
Would you consider the percentage of population growth? Because that
Yes.
might be one of those things, that how quickly they've grown and what services they had to add, or where did they focus funding as this growth happened?
I'm also thinking like median income of the municipality would also influence that as well.
Did I send you the census report for La Plata? I don't know if I
No.
did. Okay, I'll send that. I pulled that like 2 weeks ago. Send it.
I think comparing density would be important too, because you know, town that's more concentrated versus spread out,
Mhm.
their allocations are going to be different.
And all of those, they all run their own water and sewer, don't they?
I don't know. Not
Well,
that
East,
good.
Havertide Grace does, Mount Airy does. I don't know about New Carrollton.
New Carrollton probably does not.
Does not.
Prince George County, right?
Mm. Well, also the other thing, I don't know if you guys want to look at things separate, because I was just looking at general government services. I hadn't even gotten to the water and sewer yet. I was just looking at general government services, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to do all type of services and see even their rates compared to our rates.
Isn't everything in Prince George County on your WSSP? And I think, Maryland, in other words, I don't think those municipalities do their own water and sewer. And I also don't think that they do their own zoning. Maryland National Capital Parks and Planning Commission.
Hmm.
I'm not sure exactly
Okay.
how it works, but I don't think it has the autonomy that we do.
Yeah, and that's important, because I lump those planning, administration, accounting, all that under general services. And then you have the public safety, then you have parks, and then you have the public work.
Right,
So that's also going to be a challenge, is how are they grouping those services
right.
in their budget?
And I check on the accuracy of what I'm telling you, but I think I'm correct.
Yeah, and I think we may be somewhat unique in terms of, to your point, Joe, of how other municipalities handle some of this stuff, and whether it's the county that actually provides it versus the town or the city.
And the other thing is Easton is, it's huge. And it does a lot more than just water, sewer, sanitation. It does internet. It provides, they provide all kinds of services in Easton that you don't really need. So,
Yeah,
so it's really complicated in system.
okay. So maybe that's not what we want.
It might not
compared
be.
to.
It might not be.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just narrow our focus to maybe a certain aspect of their budget, maybe just a general fund only, or if they have a separate water sewer, compare that to ours. I mean, I think we need to narrow our focus, because this is a enormous task.
Do you think it's also worth you guys looking at not just the budget, but the actuals of what actual compared to the budget? And the only reason I say that is because we made budget things that we just keep pushing off, and the town's famous for that, is a budget for something, we don't get to it, so we just push it into the next budget, but that doesn't actually happen, where the actual numbers are where the funds are actually going to.
I personally think it's important.
I think for comparison purposes, I think actual to actual, their budget methodology might be different than ours. But I think the end result is what we're looking at are just the actuals to actuals, revenues and expenses. I mean, that's my suggestion. Nicole, what you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I also think if we find that it's mostly larger municipalities that provide like this level of service, we might have to make an adjustment. And maybe it's, you know, coming up with a price per person using census data, right? Something like that, so that we can get more of an even playing field for comparison purposes.
Yes. I think it also, if we can maybe put it in terms of, I don't know, cost per population,
Yeah.
cost per capita. Just we need an equilibrium, monitoring. I'm sorry, unit. We need a unit that is comparable to all of us. To all ones that we're reviewing.
I actually in the budget have the, I don't have it for the actuals. Well, I do have it for the actuals because I put the actuals for each prior year. But it does say, it does have the cost per capita for like each of the departments. So I can provide you guys that worksheet that shows you the cost of the service per resident within the town.
Do you think the other towns do that too?
I don't know. I included on the budget book that I do for the GFOA as one of the key performance indicators showing how the cost is year over year for the services provided based on population. So I can also provide that report to you.
I think that would be too hard to estimate for the other towns.
I
if
think
we have
it
a
would
good-
be. I mean, you
Well-
can get, what does an EDU cost in each for water, for sewer, you could get down to that level, which will give you some numbers to compare.
I also think we could use prior census data as an estimate to try to get there, because I think otherwise we're comparing apples to oranges, right? We have to do some sort of adjustment based on population, especially if we find that maybe municipalities of this size typically don't have all these services, which I don't know as much about Maryland, but I know in Virginia that would be the case because the county provides the majority of them. So if we're going to, look at it that way, and if we want to look at growth on top of it, right, then we have to have something to get it closer to apples, even if it's not perfect.
Does the alternates have any input or suggestions?
The alternate.
I'm sorry, we should have maybe introduced everybody. Sorry.
You said-
Yeah, yes. That way we could,
Not last, before, but it was in a consent agenda. It didn't even, they didn't even say anything about it. So now, the new town manager is changing how information is provided to the council. They're not reading everything out. It's basically put into a package called the consent agenda. And unless there's any council member that wants to discuss or event pull out from any topic out of that consent agenda, the consent agenda is approved the way it is with no discussion and then the board. And so appointments to committees are one of those things that have fallen into the consent agenda.
So, yeah.
Yeah. We're happy to have him.
So, Nicole, what do you suggest should be our next steps?
I think if somebody, like, I'm willing to take on like the path to growth and start outlining that. If somebody else can help me analyze the reserves and percentages.
I'll take a crack at that.
Okay. And then I guess if we want to get together before the next meeting, which I think would be good, just, and you're out, you said, Karina, until 22 September.
Yes, I leave the 30th and I'll be back on the 22nd or maybe the 23rd, that Tuesday. I think it's the 23rd. I'll be back in the office.
Okay. And I'm planning to be out. I'll be out of the country that week. I don't know, do we want to try to meet like the latter week of the September 29th or early in the week of maybe October 6th? I don't know. What does everybody's schedule look like October 6th?
The other, since we're talking about scheduling additional meetings, the other thing we need to schedule is the facility tour date. What date will work for everybody with the facility tour? And this is something that will take probably at least maybe 5-6 hours to do.
As long as I get a couple weeks notice, I get work.
Okay, so looking at my calendar, I'm out the 29th through the 5th of the 29th September to the 5th of October, and I'll be back on the 6th. So meeting on the 6th is okay with me.
Okay.
Why are we jumping to October? Why are we jumping to October?
No, I'm just stating where I won't be available.
Yeah, but the,
So, I mean,
That's-
but if we're looking,
2 months.
if we're looking in September, I mean, whatever, I mean, I'll be around, so that's something we can, I think what we should do is maybe get some information gathering amongst ourselves and then bring it back and then see what we can develop together.
Did you want
What do
to work amongst yourselves? I do need to give everybody your contact information.
Okay.
And I'll give you everybody else contact information. And then meet up at the next meeting and discuss how you're going to approach these projects.
Mhm.
And I believe when I talked to the town manager, he was going to facilitate the meeting. So it would be a good time to discuss that with him because the analysis is one of the things that he wanted done.
And he's gonna be at that September meeting, Karina?
Yes.
I guess what I was suggesting, but it doesn't sound like it might be possible, is to try to get together before we meet with him, because I think we should have our, I think we should be speaking with one voice at that point in time. And if we're just getting together to kind of look and ask questions, I don't think that that will be the case.
Yeah, I'm fine with any time between now and the 30th. There are a few dates that I've already have meetings. Look up what my meeting schedule is. But if you guys want to get together and talk about this process and how you're going to approach it, I'm fine with that as it works for everybody else.
Okay. So the next scheduled regular meeting is September 4th.
No,
Is that right? Or the 11th?
isn't it the second?
It's second Thursday. of the month.
9/11.
Okay. So is it the 11th? Okay.
And I'll be out of town. So Randy, you should be set on everything going into that meeting.
Okay. Okay. So from now until September 11th, what should be the approach, Nicole? What we should have some tasks?
Well, yeah, I think we should probably look at trying to get sort of an interim analysis to share with everyone, maybe by the 27th, and then look at meeting, I don't know, maybe the 29th.
The other thing is, you guys can meet, say, the week before the meeting. The accounting manager could sit in and facilitate the work session.
That would be better, I think, if it works for everyone's schedule, only because it gives us a little bit more time.
So that's possible too. So if you guys wanted to schedule something in September, the week before the meeting on the 11th, you can do that.
September 4th?
That works.
That works for me.
Fourth's good for me as well.
And Randy, maybe you and I can target like August 27th or that week to try to get at least some preliminary results out to the group so that people can start to take a look at it going into.
Okay.
What time on September 4th did you guys want to meet?
Is 2 to 4, is that good for everybody or
Yep.
same time,
Yeah, that works for me.
same place?
Mhm.
All right, so interim analysis, we'll get together on the 27th of August. I'll see what I can do from now until the 27th of August. And Nicole, I'll share it with you, and then we can share it with everyone via email. Is that good?
That sounds good with me. And I'll share what I have too in terms of some of the key decisions that were made for
Okay.
some of the municipalities.
Okay, and then we'll have a work session on the 4th to discuss what we came up with. How's that?
Does that work for
Is that okay?
everyone?
Mhm.
So Nicole, you're saying you're going to tackle the avenue of growth for those other counties. I can do something with like that expenditure per capita for all the counties or towns that Karina sent us, if you'd like.
Okay, and then Randy, you can just kind of focus on the reserve piece.
Reserves, yeah. Mhm.
That would be good.
And then so just to the budgets that Karina gave us, Easton and the others, is that the sample municipalities we want to go with, or should we go with the ones that were highlighted in green in that data?
I think we need.
I would do some research and not take what I just gave you because I didn't look at just population when I did that.
Okay.
So let's do this then, Randy, and let's maybe if we can all come up with a list of which we think are going to be the ones that we want to focus on. If we're going to have something out by the 27th, maybe by like, let's say the 18th or 19th, and then get agreement on that based on criteria used or what we think is the best criteria, then that way we're all kind of looking at the same thing and we've sort of reached agreement on where we should be targeting.
Awesome. Are we all good?
Yep, good here.
Yeah. Okay. Nicole, you want to take over?
Nope, go ahead,
Me?
Randy. Go ahead,
Okay.
Randy. I have to drop
All
at
right.
9 for
All
another
right.
meeting.
So new business.
Yes. So
Okay.
with the, I guess, the needed information that council needed for the obligation one or project one loan, I felt like we should also loop you guys in on the second obligation or second project loan, which is very similar to the first loan, same parameters, except the interest rate is 1.75 for the entire 7.8 million, where the other one was actually secured at two different times. So there was two different rates for that one. But it's a 40-year loan. And then it's got the same parameters where the project has to be approved by USDA. We have to report regularly on the progress of it. And before we could even close on the loan, the project has to be complete and in operation before we can do anything. So like the other project, it took a couple years. It actually was in operation back in July, and it's just now, July last year. And just now we have met all the requirements for the USDA to be able to claim the funds for this loan. So before going forward with this process of saying, okay, we want loan 2, I wanted to run it by you guys, and the fact that I want council to approve that we're going to go ahead and do the reporting that we need to do and secure this loan when those projects are done. And that could be 2.5, 3 years down the line before we even get that. So just looking for feedback and how we might, after this loan, the first one, approach council so we don't end up in a situation the same way, because both these loans were granted to us back in 22, March of 22. And we are just now claiming the first one.
Why has it taken us so long, Karina?
The projects just weren't going as quickly. The Southwest Quadrant project, that started maybe 2.5 years ago, and the completion was in July. Also, there wasn't very good communication between the town and USDA. I got looped into this probably about a year ago, and who I was working with wasn't very responsive. And I want to say in March, I started working with Jane at USDA, and she went through everything with me, what needs to be done. So there was only one report that was submitted between the beginning of the project and March of this year. I submitted the other reports. There were three other reports that needed to be submitted. There was a lot of the documentation that they needed, the insurance that they never got. But now that they have most of that information that they can use for the second loan, I don't think it's going to be as hard, but we still have to follow the reporting. It still has to, any changes in engineering have to be approved. That was another thing that they had made some changes that were never approved. Now we had to go through the process of getting those approved. So those were approved. So now we're at the stage that we can now close on that loan. We're planning to close on obligation 1, September 18th.
Okay. And there was 2 of them, though, right?
There's another one that we haven't even started on.
Oh, okay.
So there's obligation 1, project 1 that has 2 projects in. There's obligation 2, project 2 that has 2 projects in it.
Okay. And obligation 1, is that 2 loans?
It's basically, yes, it's,
The total of
Yes.
7 million
Yes.
something.
yes,
Okay. And obligation 2 is a whole new ballgame.
yes, it's a different.
Okay. I was, because of the 2 loans.
Yeah, I
need to
know.
get it clear in my head.
I know it.
So has the work been done for obligation for the first 2 loans?
Yes, the work has been completed.
So
We've
why
done,
are we going after the loan afterwards? Why did we have to do that mass round a couple of weeks ago for that?
I think the council, I guess, didn't understand what we were asking.
So is their reimbursement loan opposed to paid out front?
Correct.
Uh,
Yes. Yep.
And this is the same thing?
Same
In the
thing.
same situation, the work's already been done, or is
Yeah,
it?
we haven't even started for the second loan.
So we're asking for the money now?
Well, we can't ask for it until we're
Can't
done
have
with
it
the
till
project.
afterwards, I think she said.
It's the same thing with the first loan. So the first loan, we funded from the major
Mhm.
facility reserve instead of getting another line for the interim, which was one of those line items of the first loan that we were going to get a loan, but we decided because of the development, we actually got a huge increase in the major facility fees. If you look at a couple years ago, we made an increase in the major facility fees. At the end of 24, we had 11. I'm predicting 16 million after we reconcile. And then once we get this loan to replenish what we took out, we're to 22 million. So we're planning to use those funds to, in the interim, to do the new 2 project, which is Mod 1 and a, not a clarifier, but another infrastructure that they need at the waste treatment plant. So we're going to use the major facility fees to interim finance that. And then we'll ask for the money once we're done with the project, same concept, then we're going to ask for that loan and then we pay it over the 40-year term.
Would you second the amount of the second obligation?
7,808,000.
Okay, so it's in the same neighborhood as,
Yes,
okay.
So basically, you're building the house and then you're mortgaging it?
pretty much.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Yep,
Apparently, is
Yeah.
that the way they work then? Okay,
that's the way this was given.
this
to us.
particular,
Yeah, we have a claim on the funds, and if we don't start on it, they're gonna remove the claim.
Okay, and we have a claim for the second. Sure.
Currently, we have a claim on there, but we have to get started with it. for us to maintain that claim. Yeah.
So just real quick, because I have to drop in 2 minutes. This is just my opinion. I think it still makes sense, but I think you need to put some risk mitigation around the projects, like identifying a project manager. How do you expedite getting the project done so you can, it's not 3 years out or whatever before you're actually able to, the town's actually able to get that money, because at 1.75% interest rate, you could invest that and you'd be making money on that money.
Yep.
But I think we just need to figure out a way to make sure the projects don't fall behind and fast track them, as quickly as possible, and make sure that eyes are kept on it.
These two projects are in the current budget. I know they are not quite, they've started them, but what they've started can't go under this loan because they can only, everything has to be approved before those expenses are qualified. So I know these projects are ready to go.
Okay. All right. I have to drop. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks.
Okay, so how we want to tackle this new business, this discussion too? Should we hold off on it to the work session?
You can. I just wanted to bring it up and make sure that it was clear that we had two loans, that we can't get the money until the projects are complete. And because of the, I guess, reservations with the council, it was a lot of work getting the first loan, because there's a lot of reporting, there's a lot of processes that we go through. And if the council wasn't on board with this one, I didn't want to have to go through that. So basically, have you guys look, and I will send you the letter from USDA and put a recommendation that we do pursue this loan when we are eligible to close on it.
Okay, good.
Not at that interest rate.
Yeah, where the other one was like 2-something was 2.75, and then the 4-something was what? This one's 1.75 for the whole loan.
We could be making money on the money.
I know.
So what can we do with that MFR funds while they're sitting there? Because like you said, we got quite a big surplus right now.
Major, so that is earmarked for capacity increases. So that's what the developers pay, and I think it's at like 20,000 and something, 20,700.
Mm-hmm.
So when a developer builds a home, they have to pay that fee, because now we have to accommodate that extra, water usage and of the wastewater treatment. So they pay that so that we can maintain the infrastructure to support that capacity. So it's earmarked, any projects that we use for it must support increased capacity.
Okay, but the money that we have, like I think you said about 16 million we have right now sitting around.
Mm-hmm.
What can that money do? Well, it's just it can just sit there, right? Can't do anything else other than fund another project.
It can only if the project increases capacity. So say it can be for water or sewer. So say that a pipe needs to be replaced, and maybe the pipe is worn and it needs to be regardless. Well, if we replace it with a larger pipe to accommodate an increased capacity, we could use those funds for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is there a write-up on what those funds can be used for, or is that just a known?
That is how, so we collect these fees. These are fees that the town imposes, and that's the condition that the town put on them. Yeah. Yep.
And are you saying the major royalty fee now is 20,000?
We're at 11 million as the end of FY24. We have another 5 million.
No, I'm asking how much the fee.
20,700. Yeah. We had a study done back in 21, something like that, and it almost doubled the major facility fee.
Right.
And so then this year, the last 2 years, we only increased at the same percentage we were increasing other fees. This year, I did the worksheet that they used to do that analysis, And by doing that, it increased it another 3,000 after I put in all the updated information.
That's good that you did a study because we were running by the seat of our pants at one point
Yeah,
and it could have gotten us in
Mhm.
trouble.
well, there was one point we were talking about getting a loan from the general fund to cover the debt until we could make up for what we needed in those fees. But luckily with the development and the rate analysis, we didn't have to do that.
Okay.
Which brings up that topic as well, the rate stuff.
It's in the process. I've got the new town manager has reopened the door to get that updated. So
Okay.
I have to
Because-
provide Baker Tilly with an updated information.
And why
do that
wasn't
today.
it water and sewer?
Hmm?
Why wasn't it water and sewer?
It's supposed to be water. It's supposed to be all the enterprise.
Well, I got that from the
Yeah.
writing, but it's only water.
Yeah.
It's,
I think there was also an issue of not having a water agreement in place. So that was kind of holding it of what really is going to be the cost of the water once we get this water agreement in place. So that's piece is missing. And then I was concerned about, we didn't have a comprehensive analysis of our current assets and an asset replacement schedule, which we still don't have. We're still working on that and it's going to take us a while to do that. But I don't want to hold this study up. As long as we get the one piece for the water agreement, that should help.
and he's going after different scenarios, not, because what they did was very lazy.
Okay.
It just, that's not how you do it.
I will make that, I'll put that in my email when I send them the updated information, provide
Have you
several
seen?
scenarios.
I've barely seen anything.
Oh, okay.
Just like 2 weeks ago. I added to the email
We'll have to
chain.
get that, we'll have to do that stuff so that you can stay with what, because that's still on the process, still in the
Okay.
works of that.
Mhm.
But they were supposed to do a rate study on all of the services. They came back with a broken rate study. There was a flat increase to be done. And that's not how it's done. It didn't break it out by all the way down. It should have done into the level of detail that it should have done. They just arbitrarily said, you're going to need a 4% increase now every year for multiple years. And then you can drop to 3%, but there was nothing there that told you why.
Oh, okay.
And I worked with those and that's not, and anything you do to water is going to impact wastewater. I mean, the two need to be
Mhm.
together.
Yeah.
It's
Talking to each
got
other.
this big circle that goes on there. I had a lovely time with that. I took all kinds of notes. I decided I didn't like it and didn't touch it.
GPT is, I'm basically right. What I said about Prince George County and the Downs.
Okay.
They have very little zoning authority.
Okay. That's good to know.
As a matter of fact, there's only several towns or cities that have any authority. It's the National Capital Planning Commission and WSSC does all the water and sewer.
Okay. Yeah, that's something that we guys want to take into account, isn't it? So.
Okay. So,
Just
so we can, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
to make sure that I forgotten your name.
Sorry, Andre.
That Andre gets the back documents,
Mhm.
all of the things that we've received over maybe the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, I'll,
You're
Give me some-
swamped.
Put some little read.
Sorry, Randy. Thank you.
No, no worries, no worries. So, can we have, we just have one alternate, attending today? Karina, is that,
one alternate. There's only one alternate.
There is only one.
this is only one. So, if you can introduce yourself and then, give the rest of the committee a background of
Yeah.
yourself, that'd be great.
Remember here, and I'm the alternate.
I don't
What
know.
was that?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's saying that I'm the new member and, sorry,
Joe.
and Joe's now the alternate.
Oh, Joe is now the alternate. Okay, so if the new member then, if we can just get some background.
Yeah, sure thing. I have a degree in finance, but I'm not actively using it. My background's in engineering. I work down at the Blossom Point Research Station. Yeah, I don't know. I like numbers.
Four numbers.
Yeah.
Do you live in the town of Lake?
Yep, and
Okay.
Steeplechase.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
right down the street.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Joe.
Happy day.
Yes. Yes. You're going to be a good addition.
Thanks, Joe.
And Joe is definitely giving us some historical background, and I hope he keeps giving it to us, because that's a
Right.
good perspective.
As can take it or.
Yeah. So Karen, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Karina, I guess we can I guess now it's crunch time, I guess, right? And I'm glad you're going to take a much deserved break and come back fresh, and wherever your travels are, I hope you travel safe.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
So if there's any other discussions, do we have anything to bring up or any concerns?
I'm going to send out an invite for the work session September 4th. You will at least either have the accounting manager or the town manager, and then the town manager will be at the the next meeting, the regular meeting. The other thing, maybe at the September 4th meeting, discuss when you guys can do the facility tour, when everybody's available, because it's a long tour. Get that on the calendar. I am pretty much open until I get back, and then I'm gone October. Sometime in October 13th, the week of whatever that week, I'm gone.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm open to whatever day you guys would like to do the facility tour.
Did we ever get the cost for the buy-in for LEOPS?
Not yet, because that's still, we probably won't get that number till February. Yeah.
February
And that's part of the reason why we want to do this analysis. So when we do get those numbers, that we can see how we compare to other municipalities. But the other thing is, and I should share with you guys the revenue numbers, but let me talk to planning, see if I can share their worksheet, because I'm pulling the revenues based on anticipated development, which came from the planning, which said it's confidential. So I see if I can see if I can get to you guys.
Has the council brought in the USDA loans?
Yeah, it passed.
They're now
It passed
comfortable.
last Tuesday. It passed Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, after the slides, the two that were on the fence, I think, got it. And
Okay.
everybody voted. It was unanimous.
So, and that ought to make it a lot easier.
It should, but when I tell them that, hey, there's another $7.8 million loan, if they start like, oh, how much debt we're going to do, well, never mind, that's not a bad thing. You just have to manage it.
Yes.
So. So if we get a recommendation, hey, we want to pursue this loan, especially before I put in all work, because it's a lot of work going back and forth with the engineer and USDA and putting those together, and then working with the wastewater treatment superintendent to get everything. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
On the subject of that loan, so based on the projections you said in that last Excel spreadsheet,
Mhm.
like the town's growing, there's a lot more buildings that are being planned, so that MFF fund is going to be growing. They got the, like,
Yes, and actually that means you guys already got the number, but not the details. So those numbers that I gave,
Yeah.
the development came from the planning
okay.
director of what we anticipate need to be. Yeah, so I anticipate to grow. We also, what's in there is we still need to do, there's 4 mods that need to be upgraded and you're looking at 5 million plus on those. I mean, the one that we just did was 4.8 million.
Okay.
That was one.
Because I believe those the expenses out for FY30.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I believe ballpark here, the expenses minus what we're projected to have by, let's say 2030 ballpark, I think it was going to be like a $40-50 million surplus. So if we're just getting this additional $7 million loan that's just going to sit there and accruing interest, like, is there a plan to spend it on something else? Because a loan to just have money sit there and not be spent on anything is kind of seems.
So that's not everything. That
Okay.
was what they gave me based on the
Okay.
information they have. I think there's a lot more analysis that needs to be done on our assets, which there hasn't been a lot of tracking. There's a lot of pipes that need to be replaced.
Okay.
And because this can go for water and sewer.
Okay.
We have the interconnection, which we have $1 million from the ARPA funds, which are now project reserve funds. I don't know if $1 million is going to be covered. We have not done, I guess, the analysis of the true cost. We ballpark the cost. So there's always going to be maintenance and repair. It's just like, even though we did the upgrade to the mod 1 in 20 years, there's probably going to be another upgrade that needs to be done. Maybe not as extensive, but it's probably going to be a couple $1 million
Okay.
to do the upgrade. So we're going to have to continually upgrade based on the technology, based on growth. I mean, if growth continues, this is what I was told based on the data that the superintendent from the wastewater treatment plant had. With all the properties that we have in the town, if they were all developed, we have the capacity for them.
Okay.
If we start annexing in, we are going to have to build another mod.
You're saying that the sewer system could handle, or the sewer treatment plant. Huh?
After
That's
the
different.
upgrades.
Of course. No,
So
I
after
understand.
all 4 mods have been up,
And they've got room down there to carry us.
they could put in another mod for any development that's annexed in. So right
That
now,
would be a substation, though, right? That wouldn't be just down here and they would be here. They'd go for a substation, wouldn't they?
I was just told that they have room to grow at the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay,
If
well,
they
that-
annex more property in, because right now, based on what's in town and what can be developed, we can support 4 mods after they're upgraded. But if there's more development, or not more development, but more property annexed in development, we're gonna need an additional mod.
But that will still, if they do and go to full, it's still not going to be full capacity. They're going to be, they
Oh,
need to
yeah,
stay
they-
under.
Yeah, it's what they need to
Yeah,
operate.
I mean, if they have a tank go out or a clarified go out, that's 25% right there that they need to move everything somewhere else to be.
Yeah. Well, they do have, I don't know what it's called, but they have a place to store when it is high capacity, when it's
Okay.
above what they have a place that they store.
Another tank there.
Yeah.
Overflow or
Yeah,
something.
that's what it is, an overflow tank. They have it there, so when the capacity is above what they can process, they can put it there, and then
And
when
then
it
they can
lowers,
filter it.
yeah.
That's about $1.5 million, that one.
Uh,
The facility, La Plata?
The overflow.
Oh, okay.
Tank.
uh,
I think that's what I remember was supposed to be, but whatever.
I don't know the technicals of it. I just know what it's costing us.
Just make sure the pod or a tap or a clarifier or a SCADA system or a something for that
Well,
money.
I did go, when I went for the wastewater treatment tour, they did go through the new one and show me what they changed and everything, and what they were doing.
Okay. All right. Well, we've covered a lot today. We have our marching orders and tasks, so Are there any concerns at all what we've discussed today before we adjourn?
A concern with getting a copy of draft minutes so that at some point we can deal with those minutes, because we slid over them again today. Because
Okay. I will,
So they're not out there is what you're saying. I didn't look because I wasn't at the last meeting, so I couldn't.
I signed into Civic Web and
I haven't seen them. I didn't look at them. They're, unfortunately, when it's not a task that I do.
right, I
Kind of just-
understand.
But I will find it and
Okay.
send it to you.
Is
Okay,
there any way they can be emailed to us?
That's what I'll
Let's just make it.
I'll ask for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that when the appointment is sent out, we just get an email with the
Yeah.
last minutes and the agenda.
Yeah, I'll ask.
It saves us going out
Mm-hmm.
there because that's a pain going into that system.
The portal you're referring to, Karen?
Yes, it's not exactly user friendly.
Okay.
At least we're down to
All right.
2 weeks instead of 6.
Oh,
Because usually there's like several of them that come in all,
Mhm.
and they're giving you different things.
Yeah. Yeah, because we did not approve the last
No.
the minutes in the previous agenda as well,
correct.
because I was not there. So,
previous ones.
and we didn't have a quorum. So, yeah, we need to wrap up all the minutes, and so we can get that. That would be great.
I think we had a quorum, but I don't think we had a quorum of people that had been at the previous meeting. In other words, it was
Right.
2 that, when the third one didn't want to act on it
Because they want that.
because they weren't there.
Right.
That's going to happen if any of us are out. If they
Right.
choose to do that.
Well,
Well, now there's 6 of you, so hopefully that doesn't happen.
see, we have a full membership now with an alternate.
Okay. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, yes. A motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good
Thank
day. Okay.